Hi, I'm Ethan. I love muzzleloading. Today we're on the range ready to develop an accurate load for our Traditions Deer Hunter muzzleloader. And we're going to be developing our load at 50 yards using this NMLRA target. Now this is set up to be a 100-yard target, so it may not be ideal, but what I like about this target is it's a nice big piece of paper so that we can see where we're hitting as we start to dial things in. Before we load though, because we've taken this just right out of the box, I'm going to send a cleaning patch down and back just to make sure we have a clean bore. And we have a little bit of probably oil residue in there, but it's not gummy. It's not anything I'm worried about. I'm going to flip our patch over. We already have even less. And Traditions recommends you do this in your manual. Even less there. And we're at about maybe a 20% gray on that patch. So for me, I feel like we're good to go. For this test, I'm going to be using new production GOEX 3F powder. I'm going to set my adjustable powder measure here to 50 grains. For the purposes of the test, I'm going to be using a readily available patch lube that you can make at home. This is a 50-50 mixture of water and Dawn dish soap. I'm going to be using a 495 round ball because that's what I have on hand. 495 is a little tight. I can see why Traditions recommends the 490. At the bench here, I have my Garmin Zero chronograph to collect some data for us. And I'm going to be priming with 4F black powder. This is GOEX 4F black powder. This is new production GOEX, I should say. Reading 1373 on the chronograph. I'm going for a dead center hold on the target. 1269 on the chronograph. I did not clean between shots. 1307 on the chronograph. 1321 on the chronograph. 1335 on the chronograph. Okay, here at our target, pretty sure this up here is our first shot. Like I said, I really pulled that one. 4 other shots here though, over here to the right, which could mean I'm pulling some. We have a pretty wide group spread. I can almost cover it with my hand, but that's not quite what I'm looking for. What I'm going to do next is jump up to the 60 grain target and see what kind of difference we see, and then we'll jump up to our 70 grain target, see if that changes anything, and then we'll go into the minutia in between based on those targets. I'm happy that we had some on the paper. I was a little nervous about that. Not ideal shot placement on my part, but I'm not perfect. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to clean our bore. So we start with a clean slate for the next powder charge. Now a lot of people out there will swab between shots when doing a test like this, and I think that makes sense. I don't notice a whole lot of enough of a difference myself, but I'm not a championship shooter. I have fun and I compete a little bit when I can. $14.49 on the chronograph. Little bit of a hang there. I wonder if that is a result of the cleaning. Maybe there's some moisture still in there we didn't get all the way out. Let's see. $13.90.5 on the chronograph. $14.06 on the chronograph. $14.39 on the chronograph. $14.02 on the chronograph. Walking up to our target here. This is interesting. I did not expect this. So we're still in the upper right-hand corner. We have 2 groups here, both stacked on top of each other. We're still in the same place. We have much less spread now compared to our 50 grain target. This is not included. We have much less spread. We have holes touching, which is good, but we have 2 groups setting up. Thinking that's a shooter error on my part, but we're still going to move forward and jump up to 70 grains and see if that makes any difference. Because right now with this initial sighting in, all I'm concerned about is group size. I want holes touching consistently. After we get holes touching with our powder charge, we can adjust our sights. Try to keep the same routine, go back and do our cleaning process again. Alan sent me this neat little plastic tin, a slot cut in it. Hold your cleaning patches. Thank you, Alan. We're at 70 grains now at the same 50-yard marker. $15.13 on the chronograph. $14.66 on the chronograph. $14.88 on the chronograph. $14.92.8. $15.01 on the chronograph. Okay. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. It's not the decisive cut and dry that I was looking for. I'm going to grab the other targets, kind of compare in sequence. Here's what we're looking at across our 3 targets, 50, 60, and 70. I think the 70 or the 60 overall is a little more compact than our 70. Our 70 is a little funky because we have the papers torn. Looks like there's 2 shots, but there's not. It's getting towards the end of the day. I think we've got 1 more target's worth of light left, and even then it might not be ideal. So we're gonna try this and we'll come back another day, see if we can get any closer to figuring out where this rifle wants to be. $15.19 on the chronograph. $14.77 on the chronograph. $14.78 on the chronograph. $14.87 on the chronograph. $14.83 on the chronograph. Moment of truth. Still not what I want to see. This 3-shot group looks a lot better, but these up here, just not acceptable. Looking at our 70 and 75 here, this 3-shot group is certainly tighter, and I think our spread hillbilly measurement here is slightly smaller, but still that 60 grains as far as accuracy goes is the real winner right now. My thought process though is I don't know if I feel comfortable taking out just 60 grains for a deer. I don't know. That's something to think about. This time we're using a 490 round ball and we're starting back over at 50 grains of this GOEX 3F. A little bit of a hang there. It's our first shot in this after a while. We've got 1346 on the chronograph. Shot 2 of 50 grains. First hang up there. No spark it looked like. Full cock always helps. I'm gonna go ahead and pick it. We'll swap our flint. It's important to dump your prime before you do something like swap your flint, just in case. So we'll go ahead and reprime, see if this is any better for us. There we go. 1376 on the chronograph. We're gonna pick first this time, if that opens things up for us. 1372. 1345 on the chronograph. Okay, a couple headaches there that we didn't need, not my best shooting, and working on that flint, hoping we've got that figured out. Here's our target here at 50 yards with 50 grains. We've got 3 solid shots here. It's kind of per my usual. We have a couple flyers. If I had a nickel for every time 2 flyers could have been in the 9 or 10 ring, I'd be a rich man, and I'd have won a few more matches. What we'll do now is we'll pull this guy and we'll set our 60 grain target. If you're like me, you're scratching my head here. Why is this not working better? Just a little bit farther here and a light bulb is gonna go off. If you look closely in the video, you might be able to see it turn on. Thanks for your patience as we're figuring this rifle out. In between charge adjustment, make sure we get everything cleaned up. Okay, 60 grains, shot 1. 1454. 1458 on the chronograph. 1479 on the chronograph. 1444 on the chronograph. 1459 on the chronograph. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So, a couple flyers still. But if we compare to our 50 grain, I think that's quite a bit tighter. So we're making some progress. I think part of that left to right in the target is me. Take that into consideration. Do a quick clean and jump up to 70. 70 grains, shot 1. 1531 on the chronograph. Failure to fire. I'm gonna reprime. And my frizzen's kind of gummy. Again, with this humidity, so I'm gonna hit it. 1529 on the chronograph. $15.22 on the chronograph. Quite a bit of a hang there. I'm afraid I pulled that one. $15.22 on the chronograph. We had spark, I saw it. There we go. $15.52 on the chronograph. I think that's our hottest shot yet. Can already tell walking up here it's not the tightening that we had hoped for, but we fought some issues there. Let's take a look at our 60. 60s on the bottom, 70s on the top. It's, I suppose, a little tighter, but not much spread to spread. I think what we'll do, take a little breather, make sure we get some water. There is no wind today. Could not have a better day for this, at least to take out one variable. Not seeing the concrete closure that I would want in these groups as we go up. We're seeing a few good shots each round, but I'm questioning if we should do a 10-shot group instead. More data is always better. We'll start with this 5 and see where we get. Good spark. 1624 on the chronograph. Starting to feel it in the shoulder. 1585 on the chronograph. 1617 on the chronograph. Making sure I clean the underside of that flint because we can get some residue build up there. 1628 on the chronograph. 1611 on the chronograph. I like this 3 here. You can't pick 3 out of every group, but you know, that 4, not too bad. I imagine for many of you, that's minute of deer. Set up our 90 grain target now. See if we get any difference. Apart from the left to right, likely being me, I'm wondering too if this is a limit of the sight system and target combination that we're using. And what I mean by that is we have pretty wide fiber optic sights here on the front, And when I'm aiming down at that target, this front sight pretty much covers our bowl. And so I am coming in at the bottom of the bowl and rising up until I'm just eclipsing the bowl. And that's when I'm trying to release, right, wrong, or otherwise. 1626 on the chronograph. I think we had pretty good lock time on that one. And 1646 on the chronograph. 1678 on the chronograph. 1681 on the chronograph. I had to swap flints there earlier. But I think this is about the 25th shot for this flint, which is pretty good. Muzzleloader seems to be running a little better at 90 grains. Boy, it's really just cooking. Well, I don't know about accuracy though. Little hang there. 1686 on the chronograph. Okay, this is more of what I'm looking for. Much closer. I feel much better about that. That stack and one flyer there with that hang. It's totally subjective, but that whole run at 90 grains felt good. Lock time was pretty good on everybody. It hurt, you know, it packed a punch there with the recoil, but the whole way through it felt good. The maximum recommended charge that Traditions gives us for this particular flintlock is 105 grains of 3F. So we're gonna max out this test at 100. I don't like to push the limit. There's a look at our first patch after 5 shots at 90 grains. You can see those pretty large flecks of powder residue in there. Let's compare that to one of our first patches from an earlier charge. Be one of these here. I'm not sure what this comes from, but this patch here on my left hand is an earlier patch. You'll notice not nearly as thick of a residue in there. We've added a lot more powder and we're getting some more fouling in there. I just bring that up as a point of information for you and a comparison because we have the patches here to look at. Shot 26 for our flint, and I did not scrape our frizzen. That's on me. 1686 on the chronograph. Gonna wipe the underside of our flint. That's 3 times. And I'm gonna hit the face of our frizzen with our Scotch-Brite. Hit the flint a 4th time. This is shot 27, I think, for this flint. A bit of a delay there. I think it's important to note here, this is, I believe, shot 4 with our 100 grains of 3F, and it's becoming noticeably difficult to load, at least for about the first half of the barrel. Once we get through the front half, it slides down a bit easier and we're able to connect with our powder. We've opened back up a bit. Got one here, and there's our spread there at 100 grains. Before we look at the targets all together, I wanted to take a look and show you this clean cardboard we had before we started the test. This was unmarred. These are all of the shots we took today, all 30 or so shots. I think it comes out to 30. I'm bad at math. My hand, kind of for scale, you can see there the real concentration right in here, which I'm pretty pleased about, and we have some flyers, of course, out in here. So that's something to consider across all the grains that we've tried today. And there's all of our targets lined up for you to take a look at. A lot of similarities across these, especially right here in the middle. We have quite a bit of left to right movement. I think that's quite a bit of the shooter. We have similar tightness that we see here in 90, in 80 with those 3, and even with 50 here we have a couple touching, which is something that I really like to see. While we're still working through this project, I wanted to take a moment to highlight an awesome project happening right now inside the muzzleloading community, and that is the Traveler horn. This horn was made by Adam Daub and engraved by Eric Carlson. This horn is making its way through the muzzleloading community through this year and next year to celebrate and commemorate the American 250th anniversary. It's a beautifully made horn. It's a traditionally made horn. You're going to see this popping up online over the next couple years. you can check out the hashtag Traveler1776 to follow this horn on its journey. I'll admit, after that last round of tests, I was a little bit confused about our progress. I know I'm not a great shooter, but I think I'm a better shooter than I was able to do here. I took the targets to my father, who's my muzzleloading mentor and has been since I was 5, and said, hey, what do you think is going on here? And the first thing he asked me was, what is your sight picture? To illustrate this, I will show you my sight picture. So initially on the first 2 rounds of our sighting in for this rifle, I've been sighting in with a dead center hold. Why? I cannot explain. Initially, that's just what felt would be right. So a dead center hold for me was this. I was bringing in the front sight, attempting to center it in the bowl, using the rest of the paper as kind of my center. And I would bring in my rear sight, as you can see here, so that the dots represented here in red from the fiber optic would be centered across the sight and kind of centered in this bowl. And that was my shooting. Now after shooting as much as we have here, I thought, man, am I not indexing right? And that was the first thing my father brought up, asking about the sight picture. He said, when you're doing this, depending on the size of your sights and the distance and the lighting you're at, you're not able to get a good index on this center bowl. And that could be, and that's what we're going to be testing now, the reason why we're not getting super consistent groups. We're getting some consistent, but some not consistent, which is not helpful at all for us. What we're going to try now moving forward is what we call a 6 o'clock hold. Very common to your muzzleloading competition shooters, and probably a lot of experienced shooters out there as well. We're going to bring in our front sight till we're just touching the bottom of that bowl, and we'll bring in our rear, imagining the bowl as a pumpkin on top of a post that is our front sight. And we're using our rear sight to level across that post so we have a consistent index on our target. We're going to try this, again starting back at 50 grains and working our way up to see if this changes anything for us. I know for many of you this is a duh Ethan moment, you're such an idiot, you should know better, and I agree, I should know better. I can only blame it on myself. We've got a lot going on here at the farm. I am keeping the earlier tests in the video because I think we worked through some common problems that other people might face, and I think that the logic is still there even if the results aren't what we wanted as quickly as we are wanting them. We're going to move forward now, see if it works. Going to pick all the same like we have been. Pretty bad flinch there. Little hang, 1335 on the chronograph. Still using the same flint as our last test, for better or for worse. Okay, I have to flop that, switch that out now. I could spend my time trying to nap that flint, but to be honest with you right now, I just want to be testing. 1348 on the chronograph. Son of a gun. I'm going to loosen our flint and see if I can adjust its angle any. That first shot was a real ripper. I was hoping we were locked and loaded, you know. Okay, we got spark. So I dump in the pan, I'm picking, and I'm going to reprime. We'll try going bevel up, see if that gets us anywhere. This is the worst string I think we've had with this rifle. I don't really know why. We'll reprime. There we go, nice and fast. 1312 on the chronograph. Show you here. Got some new strikes and lines there. So all we did there was flip our flint to be bevel down instead of bevel up. Setting your flint bevel down is a common troubleshooting technique for this budget tier of rifle. My assumption is that placing your flint edge higher up on the frizzen gives it a longer striking surface to peel off more shavings. One hillbilly's thoughts on it. 1282 on the chronograph. Not sure what's happening there. 1348, back up to where we were. I'm going to give the 50 grain charge an extra shot here because of all the issue we had with that dull flint. I probably should have just cut my losses sooner on it, but the chronograph data dropping so much leads me to believe we will. 1335 for shot number 6. Okay, not a whole lot of difference. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Here's a tape on our 50 grains. So 6 inches spread to spread or so, 5.5, 5, depending on how you look at that. 60 grains now. We've wiped our frizzen with our Scotch-Brite pad, picked our touch hole. 1489 on the chronograph. That one's going to be bad. 1443. We'll give that one another shot. I couldn't tell you why, but it just did not feel good. 1453 on the chronograph. 1464. 1468. Similar location as our 50 grain shot, or our 50 grain target, but a lot more condensed. Look at that. There's a tape for you. So 3 inches or so, 3.5, edge to edge. Now we're talking. At 70 grains now, wipe our frizzen and our flint, pick our vent, prime. 1563. Spark but no ignition. Just wipe the underside of the flint in case it had been gummed up. 1535. 1529. 1541. And looking at my flint here, we're getting a little loose. Could be part of our problem. I want to check the video, but I'm noticing a little bit of a fuse effect where we're striking and it's taking a bit. It's going clatch, it's causing a little delay, but it might not even be noticeable. 1553. Back into some shooter error territory here. Really nice 3-shot string here low, and 2 more high up there. Down low, measuring edge to edge 2.5, edge to edge here 4 inches there at 70 grains. We're going to give that one a couple more shots just to see if we can get them down there in that 3-shot string. 1558. 1541. It looks like we split the difference a little bit, but those other shots, those 2 shots right there, felt like nice shots. That's not a bad group for right now. 80 grains now, scrubbing our frizzen and wiping our flint. I don't know if it's the drier air, but I've not been picking after every shot like we were in the last session. 1610. Must have caught our patch there. 1065. 1571. 1626. Bit of a hang there. 1633. So we're going to give 80 another shot here so that we have 5 good chronograph points. 1650. 80 grains here. Nice 3-shot stack, and we've got 3 out of that stack. Kind of getting back into where we were. Lighting is changing. I hate to blame it all on that though. Could be partially majorly shooter fatigue. Looking at 4 inches edge to edge. I've posted our 90 grain as well as another 80 grain. I'm going to put a couple more shots in that 80 grain target. 1657. Part of our issue might be our flint scooting around here. It's really starting to take a beating. 1629. 1643, and we ejected our flint. Not uncommon with a new flint. Oh, and I put it bevel up. A lot of times when I put in a new flint, the first few strikes are almost like a break-in. 1718 on the chronograph. Did not pick up that shot. 1737. It's subjective, but I think important to note. I'm getting an increased difficulty to load here at 90 grains. Similar to our last test, I believe it's in this first half of the barrel. And then once I get through that first half, smooth sailing down to the finish on the powder. I don't like that one. 1750. That one did not break right, so we're going to give us another go here. 1732. Here are the extra 2 shots we put in at 80 grains. Not in that 3-shot group where we wanted it, but we have another decent grouping here. Still not super tight like we'd hoped for, but not too bad. Over here at 90 grains, we've got our flyer down here. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Really nice group there. I mean, comparatively, one of the better groups that we've had today. And kind of in line with the previous test, where 90 grains was kind of a sweet spot for us. There's some scale for you in inches. Center to center, about 2 inches. Center to center, about 1 3/4, 1 7/8. 1710. We'll pick our vent. 1741. 1806. 1803. Oof, bad flinch there too. 1778. With 100 grains, we're really opening up again, which is what I suspected. Lighting conditions were a little bit better. So we've got 1 down here, 2, 3, 4, and 5. I don't know the order of these, of course, but that's our breakdown. Opening back up to a 7-inch spread, center to center here. Not ideal, but that is what we suspected, just based on community muzzleloading knowledge. There's a point in here where the group will start to open back up. Of course, we have to remember that this is 1 data point on 1 day in 1 set of conditions. If we do the same thing tomorrow, we're gonna see some variance. Here's a look at all of our targets for today. We've got some variation, which I'm happy about. About halfway through, I was really worried that we were gonna get similar targets across the board. So down here on this end, 50 grains, 60 grains, 70, 80, 90, and 100. Albeit not as concise as I was expecting with this test, we do see variance in that group size. Quite open here at 50, get quite a bit tighter at 60, really 60 through 80, and really 60 through 90, I guess. Pretty decent groups out of this. So what does this mean for us with these targets, and where do we go from here? Deer season is coming up. Archery in Indiana starts in a few weeks, and rifle season not long after that. I want to give 2 scenarios here. The first is what I'm going to do personally, based on what I want to do and the kind of thing that I want to get out of a muzzleloader, whether it's this one or another one, or if I'm picking up a new one for a season, whatever. At this point, I want to get in another range session and do this again. It's laborious, you're burning materials, and it's a workout to do this much shooting in 1 afternoon and try to keep it consistent. But we've got it narrowed down now that between 60 and 90 grains is our sweet spot. And I think another range session could give us some more insight about that. We'd have different conditions, hopefully some overcast conditions. We don't have a lot of variance in light like we had today. Maybe even a little cooler to keep me a little cooler. All those things factor into this. For many of you, you're going to go the second route here, and that's to pick a load from this session to move forward on, if you were me. As always, I don't want you to take this and run with it. I want you to do your own testing. All of this is just 1 data point for you to consider. So looking at all of these, I think it's really simple for us to knock out, if you're looking at deer hunting with this. Although with the correct shot placement at a short distance, I think the 50 grains would probably do it for you. I'm not so sure that I'm gonna commit to that for a season. So I think you can take off the 50 grains, especially based on its group size, and the 100 grain as well here. You can really take those out. From there, our best groups we've got in 60 grains, 70 grains, and 90 grains. I think the difference that we have in 80 grains is shooter and conditions. if all of these were stacked on top of each other, 80 grains is a pretty good group, you know, if you want to play ifs and buts and candies and nuts. And that kind of balances us in the middle of the 60, 70, 80, 90. That being said, 70 is really nice, and our 90 is really nice. And with 90, you've got a lot of powder going downrange. You've got a lot of energy as well. And we'll have some of the energy statistics on the screen with the chronograph data and things. My daughter has handed me the tape measure here. She really wants to see how far 12 feet is. I think for me, looking at this, I would take out 60 grains. I'd probably split the difference here between 70 and 90 and look at the 80 grains. These aren't competition groups, but that's not what this muzzleloader is built for. This muzzleloader is a hunting tool. It's designed to get you out, get you experiencing a flintlock season. And these are some of the groups that we got out of it. Through the video, you've seen a lot of different groups, a lot of different targets, a lot of different conditions. We shot in December, we shot in August, we shot in September here. Different conditions, different sight picture. I think conclusively the 6 o'clock sight picture is what we need for this particular muzzleloader, especially at this distance. And for future tests, I will make sure that we do that to save everybody some time and to save me some powder, because it's not getting cheaper. So that's where we're at. I want to show you really quick. I'll pull these down. This section here is all of our shots for today, except for these two redos over here on this side. All of our shots from the last session, the second session total, are about here lower, and all of our shots for today are right in here. You can see I've tore up my target frame. But again, fairly consistent shooting out of this rather affordable barrel and setup. We're probably, could I see the tape measure? Measuring our spread here, center to center, we're about 8 1/4 inches there across that. And for all the shooting we did today, that's not too bad out of this introductory budget level muzzleloader. I've heard is supposed to be a lot worse, so I'm pleasantly surprised. Super close now to our 100 shots. Looking forward to completing that and kind of giving the 100 shot review. From here, I think what we can do is, one route we can take is we can narrow down our charge with a 495 round ball, get that zoned in so that on an average, we're getting shots touching. That's really what I'd like to do next. May share that on video and may not. It might be in the end that we just tell you about it and show some targets. But I think moving forward with this particular model, we have the opportunity to test some conical projectiles out of this because it's a 1 48 inch twist barrel. So we can shoot round ball in this, we can shoot PA conicals in this, and we can shoot maxi balls, maxi hunters, all sorts of things out of this, which could be really interesting to compare round ball targets with similar charges to conical target. But for now, that's all I've got for you. Once again, I'm Ethan. I love muzzleloading. I hope that this has been informative. I hope it's been interesting. And I hope it answers some questions about this particular Traditions Deer Hunter Flintlock muzzleloading rifle. Thanks again so much for watching. We'll catch you next time. Thank you. You're a great camera lady.
I was watching all this.